بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we're back at with our Fajr Quran Dars, studying Surah, continuing the study of Surah Hud. And I really apologize for yesterday's missing the class, this session. The main reason was I was kind of a little not feeling that well, and I really missed the class time. Our session time yesterday morning. So I apologize for that. I know a lot of you were waiting on Zoom and also on Facebook. So this morning, inshallah, now we will be studying from ayah 69 to 83. And this is the story of mainly of Lut alayhi salam, and before that, as a prelude, as an introduction, the mention of Ibrahim alayhi salam and encounter of Ibrahim alayhi salam with the angels that came down to Lut alayhi salam. So let's start ayah 69. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَتْ رُسُلُنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ بِالْبُشْرَى قَالُوا سَلَامًا قَالَ سَلَامٌ فَمَا لَبِثَ أَنْ جَاءَ بِعِجْلٍ حَنِيذٍ فَلَمَّا رَأَى أَيْدِيَهُمْ لَا تَصِلُ إِلَيْهِ نَكِرَهُمْ وَأَوْجَسَ مِنْهُمْ خِيفَةً قالوا لا تخف إنا أرسلنا إلى قوم لوط وامرأته قائمة فضحكت فبشرناها بإسحاق ومن وراء إسحاق يعقوب قالت يا ويلتى أألد وأنا عجوز وهذا بعلي شيخا إن هذا لشيء عجيب قالوا أتعجبين من أمر الله رحمة الله وبركاته عليكم أهل البيت إنه حميد مجيد فلما ذهب عن إبراهيم الروع وجاءته البشرى يجادلنا في قوم لوط إن إبراهيم لحليم أواه منيب يا إبراهيم أعرض عن هذا إنه قد جاء أمر ربك وإنهم آتيهم عذاب غير مردود ولما جاءت رسلنا لوطا سيء بهم وضاق بهم ذرعا وقال هذا يوم عصيب وجاءه قومه يهرعون إليه ومن قبل كانوا يعملون السيئات قال يا قوم هؤلاء بناتي هن أطهر لكم فاتقوا الله ولا تخزوني في ضيفي أليس منكم رجل رشيد قالوا لقد علمت ما لنا في بناتك من حق وإنك لتعلم ما نريد قال لو أن لي بكم قوة أو آوي إلى ركن شديد قالوا يا لوط إنا رسل ربك لن يصلوا إليك فأسر بأهلك بقطع من الليل ولا يلتفت منكم أحد إلا امرأتك إنه مصيبها ما أصابهم إن موعدهم الصبح أليس الصبح بقريب فلما جاء أمرنا جعلنا عاليها سافلها وأمطرنا عليها حجارة من سجيل منضود مسومة عند ربك وما هي من الظالمين ببعيد صدق الله العظيم. That was ayah 69 to 83 of Surah Hud. And this is continuing the stories, the mentioned incidents of the prophets and messengers, starting with Nuh alayhi salam, then Hud alayhi salam with his qawm Ad, then Salih alayhi salam with his qawm Thamud, and now we are learning about mainly Lut alayhi salam and his people, but in the beginning, as an introduction, as a prelude, as a, ibtida, there is a mention of Ibrahim alayhi salam and the encounter of the angels with Ibrahim, who came to him with a glad tidings, with good news. And Ibrahim alayhi salam and his wife Sarah were very old in age. It is said Ibrahim alayhi salam was over 100 years old, and Sarah alayha salam, she was over 90, and they were in an age where they could not expect children. She was barren, and he was old, and there was no hope for having children. Similar things happened later on with Zakaria alayhi salam. Although Zakaria alayhi salam was a little younger than Ibrahim alayhi salam's age at that time. So the angels gave him a good news of having a child. And this is the good news of Ishaq alayhi salam. And after Ishaq, his son Yaqub alayhi salam, which will be the grandson of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Yaqub alayhi salam, Allah gave him 12 sons who became the tribes of Bani Israel, the children of his Yaqub alayhi salam. Now we start with the encounter of messengers, angels to Ibrahim alayhi salam. Now Allah sends angels as messengers too. So there are messengers in the angels and there are messengers in human beings. And all prophets, all messengers from Adam alayhi salam all the way to Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam were messengers, prophets in human beings. And there are angels sent down with messages, with the different missions, with different types of tasks to carry out, especially delivering the message of Allah and other commands and decrees of Allah. These are also messengers. And we know that from Surah Taha in the beginning that Allah chooses from men messengers and from angels messengers. So ayah number 69. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَتْ, and indeed came, Rusuluna, our messengers. And this is the angels sent as messenger, taking messages. Messenger meaning the one who takes message, delivers message. They came Ibrahim to Ibrahim alayhi salam. Now, the main mission was to go to the qawm of Lut alayhi salam and meet Lut alayhi salam, and it was a time now for his people to be punished because of their wrongdoings, disbelief, and disobedience of the Messenger alayhi salam. Now, on the way, they stopped by to visit Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Ibrahim alayhi salam was, there are two different reports. Either his Ibn Lut alayhi salam's uncle, or they were cousins. So it is more majority opinion that Ibrahim alayhi salam was his uncle, Lut alayhi salam was his nephew. And we know from Quran and Sunnah, the history, that the main the place of Ibrahim alayhi salam was Mesopotamia, in today's world, Iraq, Mosul and the area around Mosul, the city of Mosul and around that area. But because of the opposition and because of that tyrant King Nimrud, he was expelled, and now at this time he was in Palestine, in today's world, Palestine, in Jerusalem. And Lut alayhi salam was sent to teach and guide some cities, places towards Sham, which will be today's world, like Syria and border of Jordan and that area. And that were called the cities of Lut alayhi salam, or the plains, or the Madain of Lut alayhi salam. Now, every prophet came to deal with some of the social diseases, social mistakes and sins of the people. And may also, besides, the main thing was aqidah, their iman, their faith. So what was wrong with the people of Lut alayhi salam, that they were engaged in immoral, indecent acts of immorality, and that is engaging in in today's expressions and terms, it is called sodomy, or same-sex relationships, men to men. And the places where Lut alayhi salam was are called Sodom and Gomorrah in English historical terminologies. Sodom and Gomorrah. So those people were engaged in that type of immoral, wrong, fahisha, haram acts of that sort. And they were more inclined, more attracted. The men were more attracted to men. So these messengers, these angels came to Ibrahim alayhi salam bil bushra, with the good news, glad tidings. Qalu salama, as soon as they arrived as guests. And they came in the form of human beings. And they said, greeted Ibrahim alayhi salam with salam, salama. Qala, Ibrahim alayhi salam said, he returned their salam with salamun. Now there is slight difference. The angel salama, qalu salama, that is a verb sentence. And verb sentence is weaker and recurring than qala salamun with a dhamma, that is a noun sentence. And that means his answer was higher, because noun sentence is more permanent and more vast and encompassing. So his answer was higher and more vast in the meaning of salam than the words of the angels. فَمَا لَبِثَ أَنْ جَاءَ بِعِجْلٍ حَنِيذٍ. And we know this has been mentioned in other places, but this is just a prelude to the mention of Lut alayhi salam. And the main thing mentioned is that Ibrahim alayhi salam feeling for people of Lut alayhi salam, his qawm, although they were wrongdoers, but he had this compassion for them. Ibrahim alayhi salam with the guests did not stay longer, أَنْ جَاءَ بِعِجْلٍ حَنِيذٍ, that he rushed and brought a calf, rijlin, calf, a baby cow, hanid, and that was roasted. That was not cooked, but baked and roasted. And they say it was either in oven or on a hot, very hot surface, rock or something, but it was roasted in a way that was ready. And we know from other ayah that says bi'ajlin samin, a very fat, when roasted, the meat is very tasty. And famala bitha is an expression, means he rushed. The word meaning is famala bitha, he didn't stay long, he didn't waited long. And the terminology means he rushed. He quickly and swiftly went and prepared that meat for the guests. Now, several things. Number one, the greetings of salam. That is not new. That was there even from the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. That is the greetings. And all prophets and messengers. The Salamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam is the tradition, the sunnah of all prophets and messengers. Number two, Ibrahim alayhi salam was a very, very hospitable person. He loved guests. He wouldn't eat without having some guests with him to eat. And as soon as he received these guests, which some reports say only 3 angels, Jibreel alayhi salam, Mikael and Israfil alayhim salam. And some say there were 9 or 11. But in any case, whatever the number was, as soon as he received the guests, he didn't even wait. And he brought to them, a very, very generous, and with love. Then right away, he slaughtered a baby cow, and prepared it for the guests before they even realize he's going there and doing that. And this is also mentioned in Surah Dhariyat. هل أتاك حديث ضيف إبراهيم المكرمين? And have you received the story of the guests that came to Ibrahim alayhi salam? When they came and they said salam, and he returned, and he went right away. فراغ إلى أهله فجاء بعجل سمين. He went to his family, and he brought a very fat roasted cow, baby cow or calf. فلما رأى أيديهم لا تصل إليهم نكرهم. Now Ibrahim alayhi salam put the meat in front of the guests, the angels. He doesn't know these are angels. Now this shows also the prophets have no knowledge of the ghaib. They see men in front of him, and he thinks they are men. They're just human beings. So he has no idea of ghaib. If he knew that these are angels, he wouldn't even offer them food. And he wouldn't feel fearful and kind of mistrust. He developed some mistrust. He was fearful of them. That wouldn't happen at all if he had any slightest knowledge of the ghaib. So no one except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the knowledge of the ghaib. So فَلَمَّا رَأَى, when he saw, أَيْدِيَهُمْ, their hands, لَا تَصِلُ إِلَيْهِ, their hands are not reaching to the food. They are not touching it even. They are not trying to eat. When that happened, نَكِرَهُمْ, he found them strange. نَكِرَهُمْ, inkar, nakira, munkar. Like he thought of them of very strange type. وَأَوْجَسَ, and he felt inside. Awjasa, wajas means when internally you feel something. Minhum, from these people, khifatan, fear. He became fearful. Now that also shows his human nature. Although he's a prophet and messenger, he has full trust and tawakkul on Allah. But in the end of the day, he's still a human being. And when something like that happens, it is natural and it is okay to have kind of concern and fear out of for your own life and for family and for well-being. So he was a little fearful. As soon as they realized, as soon as angels realized Ibrahim alayhi salam has kind of fear and concern, he actually said it, that I'm afraid of you, I'm fearful. that is mentioned in other ayat in the Quran. Inna minkum wajilun. It is mentioned in another ayah that I'm actually afraid. I have this fear. He expressed that. قالوا, they said, لا تخف. Have no fear. Now we are actually have been sent. Now they revealed themselves as being messengers of angels, but they are sent to the people, the people of Lut alayhi salam. وَامْرَأَتُهُ, and his wife Sarah alayha salam qa'imatun. She was standing there. Now either she was standing in the same majlis or helping and serving water and food and things, or she was behind the curtain or on the side, but she could hear the conversation. فضحكت. Now this ضحك, meaning she smiled or laughed, this came after Ibrahim alayhi salam showed fear, and he was kind of concerned and sad. As soon as they said we are prophets and messengers and we are angels and we have been sent to Lut alayhi salam, she was relaxed and she laughed. فَبَشَّرْنَاهَا, and as soon as that happened, we gave her the glad tidings, بِإِسْحَاقَ, with Ishaq alayhi salam as a son. Now it is mentioned in other places that Ibrahim alayhi salam also received that bishara, فَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ حَلِيمٍ. In other place, فَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ عَلِيمٍ. We gave him and her, meaning both received that bishara of having a forbearing Halim and Alim, knowledgeable son. وَمِنْ وَرَاءِ إِسْحَاقٍ, and after Ishaq, meaning his son, Yaqub. Wara means the second generation. After Ishaq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless Ishaq alayhi salam with Yaqub alayhi salam as his son. قالت يا ويلتا. Now again, human nature kicks in now. So she knows these are angels, and what they promise, and they have been sent by Allah as a bishara, that's true. But still, human nature and thinking of herself that she is barren. She is of old age, cannot bear children, cannot give birth, and her husband is very old. How can that happen? So that is just a human nature of thinking about asbab, thinking about the means, the things that are normal. But the angels soon, assure her and make her, convince her that this is going to happen. She said, Ya waylata, oh my goodness. I'll just say it simple English. Oh my goodness. Or the meaning, the literal meaning is Ya waylata, oh my destruction. Now that doesn't mean she is making dua against herself, but out of complete, absolute, amazement and surprise, and in the meantime, happiness, she says, wow, destruction to me, woe to me. Alidu, am I going to give birth? وَأَنَا عَجُوزٌ, and I'm an old woman. وَهَذَا بَعْلِي, and this is my husband. شَيْخًا, he is an old man. Ajuz for a woman, Shaykh for men. إِنَّ هَذَا لَشَيْءٌ عَجِيبٌ. Indeed, this is a very strange thing. قَالُوا, now the angels assured her, and right away, أَتَعْجَبِينَ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ, are you amazed and surprised of the decree, the decision, the decree, the qada, the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Rahmatullah, this is Allah's mercy. Wa barakatuhu, these are blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alaykum, upon you, Ahl al-Bayti. Ahl al-Bayt, the family of this house, the family of Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ahl al-Bayt. So this tells us when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for du'as, and something that is very amazing and unexpected and unusual, unnatural, or something very special is given, so it is Allah's mercy and rahmah and barakah, and we should not be so much surprised. Then the angels keep praising Allah, that first of all, it is because of Allah's mercy, and there are barakah and blessings in what Allah is going to give you. And number three, innahu, indeed Allah, Hamidun Majid. Allah is Hamid and Majid. Two of the attributes, sifat of Allah, very amazing sifat. Hamid means all praiseworthy. Hamid refers to Allah's sifat of Jamal. Now there is expression. There are two terminologies we have to learn. Sifat of Jamal and sifat of Kamal. Sifat of Jamal are the sifat, the attributes, the characteristics of Allah of mercy, of being merciful, kind, and caring, those soft and lenient and sifat of Allah, the sifat of beauty, the sifat of being very, very kind and caring. And Majid, Allah is the glorified. Hamid, He is all praiseworthy in the sifat that He is showing. The sifat that He is showing, the sifat of Allah, the attributes of Allah, Hamid, of the sifat of Jamal, beauty. And Majid, the sifat of Kamal. Kamal meaning Allah's greatness, majesty, glory of Allah, the greatness, the grandeur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here is Jamal and there is Kamal. Both are attributes and sifat of Allah. So Allah is Hamid, praiseworthy in His sifat of Jamal. Majid, He is glorified in His sifat, in His attributes of grandeur and majesty and greatness. فَلَمَّا ذَهَبَ. And an Ibrahim ar-raw. Ar-raw means that fear, internal fear, that you feel inside your heart. When that type of fear, dhahaba, it went away from Ibrahim, because the angels revealed themselves and gave him the glad tidings and assured him, وَجَاءَتْهُ الْبُشْرَى, and that good news came to him of having he's going to have a son. All of a sudden, his mercy, his sympathy, and his care kicked in. And that mercy of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that concern for others, started to empower him and say, Yujadiluna. Then he started to argue with the angels. Fi qawmi Lut, in regards to the people of Lut alayhi salam. He would have, the details are not here, but the word Yujadiluna fi qawmi Lut, he started to argue with the angels that how can you destroy those people? There is Lut alayhi salam and his family, except his wife and other believers and the people in general. Allah is merciful that they may probably return back and they may be good. So he started to do that type of arguments with the angels because he felt for them and he didn't want that to be happening to them. In Ibrahim, here is the reason. Here is the main wajah and reason why he was arguing with the angels. Inna Ibrahim, indeed Ibrahim salam, la halimun. Halimun. He was definitely lam al qasam, meaning absolutely no doubt he was halim, and halim means that someone who is forbearing, who can tolerate the harshness and the ignorance and the bad treatment of people. Halim, he has that type of hilm and that type of forbearing. Awahun, and he was a person of great concern. When you feel for others and you have pain in your heart for others, and that pain and that concern and that thinking about others comes in the form of, oh, for others, that is awah. Continuously and again, he would think about his people and the people of Lut alayhi salam and others. And number three, so Halim, Awah, and Munib. Munib means he was absolutely always turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If in all his affairs, he would turn to Allah in dua, in obedience, in devotion, in dedication, and taqwa, and reliance, and tawakkul, always Munib. Munib is a very good word, a very good sifat, a very good attribute. And a lot of people call themselves such and such Munib. Like they have a name, Ahmad Munib, Abdullah Munib, or something. So Munib, that is the meaning, that in every turn of their life, in every aspect of their life, they always turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, depending on Him, trusting Him, and calling on Him, asking Him, and everything, and obeying and showing and dedicating acts of worship. Ya Ibrahim, the angels are telling him, Ya Ibrahim, a'rid an hada, just turn away from this argument, forget it. Why? Innahu qad ja'a amru rabbik. Indeed, now they are convincing him that it's over for them. The people of Lut alayhi salam, it's over. Qad ja'a amru rabbik. Allah's decree, His command has already come. Your master's decree has been decided. وَإِنَّهُمْ, and indeed these people of Lut alayhi salam, atihim, is coming to them, عَذَابٌ غَيْرُ مَرْدُودٌ, a punishment غَيْرُ مَرْدُودٌ, not to be returned, not to be turned away. Mardud, rad, that means no one can turn it away, no matter what, but Allah has decided and their time is over. وَلَمَّا جَاءَتْ رُسُلُ, now the angels left Ibrahim alayhi salam, and now they are in the place of Lut alayhi salam. فَلَمَّا جَاءَتْ, and when these messengers, the angel messengers came unto Lut alayhi salam, as soon as Lut alayhi salam saw them, like nice, beautiful, good-looking young men, see him, he felt very bad. He felt very sad. He became so, inside, internally, he was sad. Why? وَضَاقَ بِهِمْ ذَرْعًا. ضَاقَ بِهِمْ ذَرْعًا is another expression. That means that his arm became constricted and narrowed. Meaning, when your arm is narrowed, your arm is shortened, meaning you have no power. You are powerless. So ضَاقَ بِهِمْ ذَرْعًا, meaning he felt powerless. He felt weak, like human, this again, human nature. And plus having concern for your guests, that somebody is visiting you and your neighbors or people around you are going to harm them. Because when Lut alayhi salam saw these angels in that shape, in that form, he was certain that now people will come and will hurt them. And they will demand something inappropriate. They will demand something that is their normal practice. And they will come after him for the guests. So he felt so sad, and he felt that he is powerless. He cannot defend his own guests. وَقَالَ هَذَا يَوْمٌ عَصِيبٌ, and he said, this is a very difficult day now. Asib. This is a very hard and heavy day now. وَجَاءَهُ قَوْمُهُ, and as soon as the people learned about this, they came, يُهْرَعُونَ, they were running, they were rushing fast and quick, إِلَيْهِ, to him. وَمِنْ قَبْلُ, before they came to him at this incident, now after these young guests, كانوا, before that they were already يعملون سيئات, they were already engaged in doing all these wrong acts. And the specific wrong act is that they were engaged in, going after, uh, men. It's called sodomy. The word sodomy is also refers to the city in which that started. And this was the first time, by the way. It is in the Quran mentioned that never ever any human being in the past before them had ever thought about something like this. This was a brand new thing in the people of Lut alayhi salam. قال يا قوم, he said, "O my people, هؤلاء بناتي هن أطهر لكم." These are my daughters. They are more pure and clean for you. Now, this statement is a little problematic if we don't look at explaining it deeply. Now, some people raise questions that how can a prophet offer her daughters to people? The explanation is, when we try to understand, then we will know what the real actual issue and the mas'ala and the matter is. Ya qawmi haulai banati. So number one, when you are absolutely in a very hard and difficult and desperate situation, you are saying something just to take care of that moment and to save yourself, and especially when it relates to your guests or someone under your protection, someone that you are responsible for. So you just say something to take care of that moment. So that's number one. He just wanted them to stay away, to run away. And he said, you know what, instead of that, why don't you marry my daughters? That's number one. Number two, he knew that these people cannot marry his daughters. Why? Because the reason or the requirement, the shart for marriage is that they have to have iman and good character, which they lacked. I mean, those who were running after the guests, and for that reason, they cannot marry. So he just wanted to push them away. And number three, from among them, and this is mentioned also in the books of Tafseer, that they're not in this group that are running after him, but there were a few, even in a couple of leaders who were good and pious and decent people. So he offered her daughters for those people to marry. But a more generally acceptable and understandable meaning is that he did not mean his own daughters, but he meant the daughters of his qawm, the daughters, the girls in his people. That, hey, people, hey, men, why are you not going out and getting married instead of running after this indecent, wrong, and immoral act that you are going after? Why don't you just marry women of your own and have life and family? And why is he calling that these are my daughters? We know that every prophet in his people is their spiritual father. And that we know that in Surah Al-Ahzab, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam and his wives being the mothers of believers. So this is the general rule, that all prophets are the fathers of their people spiritually. So he can call the children as his children and as his daughters. And normally, even in our normal conversations, when we see young people and say, oh son, oh daughter, come here and do that and do this. So that doesn't mean that they are biological fathers and children, but it is a general term used and accepted normally. So he meant the daughters of the qawm. هؤلاء بناتي هن أطهر لكم. That's more clean and pure for you to marry. فاتقوا الله. So one reminder for you guys is have fear of Allah. Be mindful and careful and have fear of Allah and stay away from such a thing. Number two, وَلَا تُخْزِونِ فِي ضَيْفِي. Besides your fear of Allah, don't embarrass me in regards to my guest. وَلَا تُخْزُونِي, don't embarrass me, don't humiliate me in my guests. أَلَيْسَ مِنْكُمْ رَجُلٌ رَشِيدٌ. And the third reason and the third argument he's putting out is أَلَيْسَ مِنْكُمْ, isn't there amongst you رَجُلٌ, a man, رَشِيدٌ, wise, intelligent, a man, a mature person, Rashid, who can call you to rushd, meaning who can call you to the straight and right work, right act, right path. Isn't there anyone to give you a good advice? They turned around and said, لَقَدْ عَلِمْتَ, hey, Lut alayhi salam, you know that. مَا لَنَا فِي بَنَاتِكَ مِنْ حَقٍّ. So this is interpreted in two ways. مَا لَنَا, we do not have فِي بَنَاتِكَ, in your daughters, مِنْ حَقٍّ, any haq, any right. So like we said in the beginning, they could not marry his daughters unless they believe, they obey, and they give up all the wrongdoings. And they said, we cannot give up, we cannot believe in you, so by right, we cannot marry your daughters. That thing is over. Secondly, even if it is meant all these, the women of the girls and the women of the qawm to be married legally and permissibly in a Sharia manner, we have no interest in them. We have no interest in women. We don't want to do that. وَإِنَّكَ لَتَعْلَمُ, and indeed you definitely know مَا نُرِيد, what we want. You know what our purpose, our main reason is coming here. قَالَ لَوْ أَنَّ لِي بِكُمْ قُوَّةً. Again, this is Lut alayhi salam's human nature again comes in, and he still doesn't know yet that these guests are angels. If he knew from the beginning, just like Ibrahim alayhi salam, he didn't have ilm al-ghayb. If he knew they were angels, he wouldn't have that much concern and that much arguments, and he wouldn't have fear at all. Then he would know that they cannot touch them. He said, "Law anna," and his human nature comes in, and he says, "If I could have a little power, law anna li bikum, if I only had over you quwwatan, any power." Now he shows powerlessness, his weakness. He says, "If I only had some power, aw awi ila ruknin shadid, or if I could only turn to a strong position, ruknin shadid, to a strong position or a strong fortified and strong place, and that place could be a physical place or could be the support of a big following, a big obedient following believers who can protect him and safeguard him." So he's showing that I personally do not have the power, and I don't have a large, big backing or a fortified place where I can protect. He knew, there is no doubt that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will save and protect him. But outwardly, physically, as a human being, he is showing that type of concern and that type of feelings. And again, this is true, that even we have reliance and trust in Allah, but as a human being, we still have these emotions, these feelings. And there is nothing wrong to have those things. But again, we turn to Allah in the end. Now the angels are speaking and they're saying, Ya Lut, inna rusul rabbika. We are messengers of your master. Messengers and angels, we came here, lan yasilu ilayk. They will never reach you. Don't worry. They cannot touch you. They cannot harm you. فَأَسْرِ بِأَهْلِكَ. Now here is the plan. We came here, their time is over, but they are going to be destroyed. That detail is not mentioned here. The fact that fa is mentioned, fa asri, they gave him all the details, why they are here, what will happen to the people, what type of adab is coming, how will they be destroyed. But they are giving him the short summary of the plan, and they say, فَأَسْرِ بِأَهْلِكَ. And this tells us also the Quran is a very brief, concise book, which doesn't give nitty-gritty, small, tiny details of everything. But from the context, from the wording, you can tell the whole picture. فَأَسْرِ بِأَهْلِكَ, then move out at night. فَأَسْرِ, Sara, Yasri, Isra, the Isra wal Mi'raj, like we say, at night move out. بِأَهْلِكَ, with your family. بِقِطْعٍ مِّنَ اللَّيْلِ, in a portion of the night. Meaning, don't wait until the end. Just as one section, one part of the night is moving, one part of the night is past, you should leave. Until you have enough time to leave the entire city and you are in a safe place before the adhab comes to them. But here is one condition. وَلَا يَلْتَفِتْ مِنْكُمْ أَحَدٌ, and no one should look back. وَلَا يَلْتَفِتْ, and no one should look back, minkum, from you, ahadun, anyone. That's one meaning, that no one should look back, or no one should be caring about their belongings, their property, their wealth, their money, whatever. If they cannot carry anything, don't worry about those things. Right now is the time to be saved, to be protected and safeguarded. So don't look back. So this also tells us, when the decree and the command of Allah comes, we should not be concerned about our wealth and money and things. Except your wife. Take everyone except your wife. She is not going to follow. She is not of the one to be saved. And we know this also from Surah Tahrim. In the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions his wife and Nuh alayhi salam's wife being from the kuffar. Innahu, indeed the fact is, musibuha, she will be receiving ma asabahum, that which will also be falling on your people. She will also be receiving that, what your people are going to receive. Musiba, asaba, what is falling them. Inna maw'idahum as-subh. Now their time, their appointment, maw'id, appointment. The appointment of their adhab, their punishment and destruction is subh, Fajr time, early morning. Now, when they felt some type of concern of Ibrahim, Lut alayhi salam, whether how will that happen, or is it that too late, or before the adhab comes, will they realize? All of those questions, the angel says, isn't Fajr time very close, very near? So don't worry, it's gonna happen. Isn't that very near? فَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا, ayah number 82. Two more ayahs, 82, 83, and we will finish inshallah. فَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا, when Allah's decree came, just like it was mentioned in the Nuh alayhi salam, Hud alayhi salam, Salih alayhi salam, now Lut alayhi salam. When Allah's decree and decision came, جَعَلْنَا عَلِيهَا سَافِلَهَا. Now these types of adhab, physical destruction, altogether, annihilation, wiping out of the entire city altogether, like we mentioned yesterday, is not going to happen to the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. And that is the barakah and the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. Yes, there may be different types of tests and trials and adhabs and punishments and many different things, but the type of adhab that those people saw is not going to happen. So what happened to them? جَعَلْنَا عَلِيهَا سَافِلَهَا. We turned them upside down. So Jibreel alayhi salam, with his wing, picked up the whole entire city and took it up, and some narrations say all the way to the sky, the first sky of dunya, and then turned it upside down and fell back on its place. Now, when it fell back upside down, عَلِيَهَا سَافِلَهَا, the upper side became the lower side. وَأَمْطَرْنَا, and on the top of that, Allah says, we rained down alayha, on this city, on this qarya, hijaratan, stones, min sijil, from baked clay. Now, baked clay are very sharp. When they come down, and if anyone is still alive, or they are still, their body is intact, or someone who is left out, or whatever the reason may be, or their remnants, their bodies, these piercing and hitting hijara, these stones and pebbles. Mandud means successively, just continuously, not like just one time rain came, rain of the rain of these stones came and it was over. No, mandud, one after another, until they were absolutely gone. Now, a lot of times when we look at our wrongdoings, our going after haram and bribery and cheating and stealing and doing haram business and swearing and in our business and swearing a lot of times on lies, we can expect even harder and greater adab from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that adab may come in different other ways. That adab may come in terms of drought, lack of water, in terms of famine, lack of or limitation of food, diseases, viruses, and the tasallut, the control of enemy over our lands, over our places, over our resources. These are all adabs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because of our own wrongdoings and our own misactions and misdeeds. Musawwamatan. And these stones, these pebbles were musawwamatan, they were marked, specifically marked inda rabbika, from the side of your master. So there are two ways to understand this. Number one, they were specifically marked as this is the adab of Allah on these people. Or it is also mentioned in the books that every person's name was marked on each stone to hit that person specifically. وَمَا هِيَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ بِبَعِيدٍ. Now this is a separate statement, the same ayah, but two separate phrases. مُسَوَّمَةً عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ, that's one phrase, that these stones were marked. وَمَا هِيَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ بِبَعِيدٍ. This is a general statement, that not only in that time, but such adab, such stones, or similar type of adab is not min al-zalimina, from wrongdoings, from zalimin biba'id. They are not far from any wrongdoer, any oppressor, anyone who is committing anything wrong. This type of adab is not far from them. It could not necessarily be exactly who by who, just like that, but it could come in similarly different shape and different ways. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from such ending, from such calamity, that we are subjected to adab and a punishment like that. In the meantime, if this type of general adab comes, in the midst of people, in the midst of communities and cities, and there may be good, pious, righteous, practicing, obedient people, for them it becomes a test, a trial, how steadfast and strong their iman is, how closer even more they get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much from this type of punishment they get more lessons, more admonishing and pan and ibrah, and how much more they strengthen their iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and turn towards Him. That is all test for them. And it is punishment for the wrongdoer and zalimeen and oppressors and tyrants. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك ربنا ظلمنا انفسنا ولم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين اللهم اعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك اللهم انك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين برحمتك يا ارحم